allowing somebody in was really hard. Earlier in my journey, I would say like, I can't take help from people. I just don't like anybody helping me. Even when I was going through my divorce, I shut everybody out. When females that were like me, alpha females and overachieving women, have a hard time receiving. In today's episode, we are going to talk about receiving. What does receiving mean? And have you heard about it? Why does that change things for us being in receivership? One of the things that I have found, like, as I've been doing the self-development work and been on this journey, is that I had a really hard time receiving. It was probably the biggest red flag or the biggest like aha moment when I realized like, hey, I wasn't really receiving. And what does receiving mean? Like receiving compliments, receiving help, receiving support. A lot of females that were like me, alpha females and overachieving women, have a hard time receiving. I didn't understand it, but I remember when I was, earlier in my journey, I would say like, I can't take help from people. I just don't like anybody helping me. Even when I was going through my divorce, I shut everybody out. When I was having kids, I shut everybody out. I'm like, I can handle it. The harder it was, it seems like the more I had to prove to myself or everybody else that I could do it. Like I could handle everything. I've got this, because in my mind, I felt like if I asked for help, I was weak. I was vulnerable. And, I didn't want anybody to have anything up on me if I let them in. I didn't want to owe anybody anything. Like I was always the first to help other people. And maybe you've been like this too. Offer my help, give suggestions, be somebody who is there for everybody else. But, I just allowing somebody in was really hard. And as I started working on the feminine and masculine in my life and like working on those energies and realizing what type of woman I want to be, I realized like even how I was in relationships, all of them, not just with men, but with women and even my team, it was really hard for me to allow support in, allow people to see me, allow help. So the reason why I feel like we strong women don't allow people to help us is, yes, we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem vulnerable. And we just don't want anybody to have anything up on us. And so if we keep doing, if we keep allowing ourselves to, accept help from people, we'll feel like, they'll have something over us. And so I realized, I think it was probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I remember asking a friend for help. Like I'd always offered help to her, sometimes unsolicited, like I'm helping everybody else. And I remember asking her for help with my kids and she didn't help me. And I remember the resentment that grew. It grew to the point, like every time I'd ask for help, she had like, no, I couldn't do it. But yet I was like always helping her. And so I always felt like the relationship's lopsided. And you probably feel like that too. Like sometimes you're always doing more and they're doing less. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? But what I realized was that I would get really upset the moment that I would let my guard down and ask somebody for help. It would make me feel like I was letting them have like this power over me, like they were able to have control over me. So as I started doing my work around the masculine and feminine energy, I realized that part of the reason why I wasn't able to receive is because I was really in my dominant masculine energy in that wounded masculine state where I wouldn't let anybody in. And so I started realizing that, okay, it has to start somewhere small, like somewhere small. So like the first thing I would recall is like when someone would give me a compliment, I'd be like, oh, no. Or I'd be like, you too, girl. Or I would say something like, oh, this old thing, or, I wouldn't know how to take on like, you're beautiful, or that looks great. You're doing a good job. I would just deflect. And, it's amazing because men in their strong divine masculine will say to you, just receive it, please, just receive the help and ask for help. There's only so much you can do. And a lot of us women like to do bad all by ourselves. We like to do everything and not let people into our lives. But it really does close off your heart and your world and your energy from all the magic that wants to come in, not just like help. I feel like the more open we are to receiving, the more wealth can come in, the more opportunities can show up, the more we can cultivate, deeper relationships with people when we let them help us. I remember one time a girlfriend of mine, this is not too long ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, no, maybe 4 years ago, maybe less than that. And she helped me with my kids, another friend. And I was like, hey, like, I'd love to, I want to take it for dinner. I want to pay you back. She's like, we're friends. This is what friends do. And it was like a slap in my face. I was like, oh, she's right. Like, just let somebody help you. I felt unworthy sometimes, to be quite honest with you, like allowing somebody in to help me. It's like, I wanted to even things out. I wanted to make sure there was no uneven scale of like owing somebody anything, right? And I'm sure a lot of you feel that way. So how do we start receiving? How do we change that, right? It starts with small things, compliments, someone holding the door open for you, paying for dinner. I went out with one of my girlfriends in San Diego. We were out there for a mastermind, and I went to go pay for dinner for her or drinks or whatever. And she was so adamant about not receiving because she was where I was. And I'm like, listen, bitch, just let me pay. And she's like, no, not doing it. And she had to leave because she had to get her flight the next day. And listen, this waitress took like 35, 40 minutes just to come over to say, hey, what else is going on, to get the bill. My friend could have left 40 minutes prior. Then we ask for the bill. And then my girlfriend says she wants to, split it or whatever. And then another like 45 minutes goes by before we even get the check back at the service. There was a little whatever. And I said to her, you had been gone like an hour and a half ago. If you just received, I go, this is like the universe telling you like, hey, what's going on here? She like put herself through more suffering because she couldn't just accept something. And a lot of the times people have a really hard time with people paying or, any generosity because they just don't want to owe. And that's what she said. She goes, I just didn't want you. I don't want to owe. I wanted to pay my half. But being around wealthy women that I am right now, like I pay for a bill, she pays for a bill. It's the greatest thing, being able to, reciprocate that. I'm not saying you always have to give to others, because if you're in that giving state, you have people taking from you in that state. So start just, allowing people to give to you. I've found that when I've had my unicorn Sash, who's on my team, she's amazing. When I, had her enter my world, it's been about a year and a half now, I guess. And I remember like, I used to feel like she would leave, like I had this feeling of like she could leave me, like she could leave. And that I never felt that closeness or that like feeling of like, this person's always going to be there for me, because I never felt like someone was always going to be there, because I had some abandonment issues that kind of pops up. And maybe some of you guys have that too. So you're like, people are going to leave. I don't know if I can feel the support from them, because what if I rely on them and then they leave, right? So that's been a really great place of noticing how I can lean back in that feminine. I mean, ladies, we are designed to receive, like even in sex. And so, I remember I was writing down my avatar for my clients of who I want to help. And I'm like, I know how she is. She's not trying to like receive because she's trying to control the whole situation and yada, yada, yada. And it starts with pleasure too, like receiving everything, receiving things. So this week, start like, if someone holds the door open for you, if someone says, hey, I've got that. If someone wants to take you out, say yes, without having to feel, I don't feel uncomfortable, but without feel guilty, but say yes, say, sure. Thank you. That's it. Don't feel like, hey, I got to pay you back. I got to do something for you. Just accept it. Allow yourself to be in that state. I mean, what's the worst could happen? You could receive some more, right? And I used to write this mantra down. It's easy to receive. I love to receive. Receiving is so beautiful. It's my most feminine state to receive. I love receiving. And I really had to rewire myself into believing what receiving was. And as I started doing that, I started realizing that I was opening up avenues for more opportunities, magic, and connections and relationships to come into my life. A lot of the times we're holding on to something so tightly, and we're requesting that something new, a similar, better version of what we're holding on so tightly that's not serving us, come in. But if you have your hands so tightly around this thing, how are you able to accept what is coming for you? In my program, Accessing the Quantum through Emotional Self-Mastery, I teach you about receiving. I always say, like, open your hand up. And if you have the thing that you don't want anymore sitting in there, where's the room for something new to come in? So part of receiving is also clearing away what you are holding on to right now that's really not serving you, and making room for what is. When people have big changes come into their life, it's really uncomfortable, but you're asking for something greater, and it's got to make room for it to enter. So think about that when you're like wanting a new car and you're, or whatever, and the garage is full of junk, and you're like, how is there room for that to come in? And I'll explain this on future podcasts, but for now, what can you do to start receiving more? How can you be in that energy of allowing? Where can you trust and just open your heart up a little bit and be a little bit more vulnerable to be seen, to allow people to support you, to love you, and for you not to be the person that's always going out giving to everybody else? It's not selfish to receive. It's a way of you being in your feminine. It's a way of you allowing, and a lot of magic comes through when you're not in that pushing energy and you're in the receiving. I hope that this podcast episode did something for you. Like maybe you're like, you know what? I don't let people help me. I'm always doing everything for everybody. Maybe there is something to this. Maybe there's something I could shift around, because once we start shifting our actions and our thoughts, so many things in our energies change. And I will explain further as our podcast expands and grows. But if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend if someone needs to hear about this. So you've got someone that's hard-headed, that just wants to do bad all by herself, and she's not understanding why she's so much in that masculine, not asking for help or receiving help. Send this to her. Maybe she needs to hear it, because maybe you've been trying to get through to her, or maybe you just need to listen to this again. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a review. Send me a message if you've got some feedback, or leave a comment, and go to my website, shaminataylor.com, download my wealth meditation. There's also a quiz on there. You can take the quiz and find out where you are right now, what you need next, and go join my Quantum Woman group. My book is coming out, Unlocking the Quantum Woman. Get yourself on that wait list so you can get a part of the pre-sale. Okay, I love you. Thank you for joining me today, and bye for now.